Hello and welcome to the latest video. It's time for the next 10 videos in my 2025 top 1000 boxers of all time countdown. So on this video we are going from numbers 900 down to 891. So we start this video, with fighter number 900. I could barely fit his name on, even shrinking the text down. It is one Punsawat Kratindayanjim. Now, Kratindayanjim, defeated 4 world champions. He fought 62 rounds against champions. And Kratindayanjim beat no Hall of Fame fighters. He also fought no rounds against Hall of Fame fighters. Now, he did have 7 fights against rated opposition. And he scored a total of 33 KOs in his career, 15 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 2 in the first round. Now, Kratindayanjim was top 10 rated for a total of 7 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 24 fights in total, and he was pound for pound rated for 0 years. Now, Kratindayanjim had no fights against pound for pound fighters, so scores no wins in the pound for pound categories, and his opposition fought rate is 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 2 from 13. So Kratindayanjim, had 6 fights against champions, scoring 4 wins with 2 losses, no draws, and 2 KOs. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, of course, and in world title fights he has a total of 5, including 3 wins, 2 loss, no draw, and 2 title defences. So there's fighter number 900. When we go to our next fighter, fighter number 899, it is the UK's former middleweight contender Tony Sibson. Now, Tony Sibson beat 1 world champion. He fought 28 rounds against champions in his career, and he beat no Hall of Fame fighters and fought 6 rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, Sibson had a total of 9 fights against rated opponents, and he scored overall 31 knockouts in his career, 11 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 3 in the first round. Tony Sibson was top 10 rated for a total of 7 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 25 fights. Now, he also was never pound for pound top 10 rated in my all-time rankings. He did have 1 fight against a pound for pound fighter, but scored no wins in the pound for pound categories, and his opposition fought rate is like Punsawat Kratindayanjim, 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is also 2 from 13. So Sibson had 4 fights against champions, scoring 1 win with 3 losses, no draws, and 1 KO. He has 1 fight against Hall of Famers, that was a defeat, of course, and he has 3 world title fights, all of them defeats. So there's Tony Sibson in 899. When we go to fight number 898, we're going back in time quite a while from Tony Sibson to a fighter called Leonard Moreau. Now, Leonard Moreau beat 1 world champion. He had 14 rounds in the bag against world champions, and Leonard Moreau beat 2 Hall of Fame fighters. He fought a total of 34 rounds against Hall of Famers, and he had a total of 13 fights against rated opponents. Leonard Moreau also scored 19 knockouts, 10 of them in 3 rounds or less. He also scored 3 first round wins. Now, being a rated fighter, Leonard Moreau was top 10 rated for a total of 2 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 15 fights. He didn't have a massive career, Leonard Moreau, for his time. Now, he was pound for pound rated for 1 year, and all in all, Leonard Moreau had 6 fights against pound for pound rated fighters. He scored 3 wins against pound for pounders, scored 3 wins against pound for pound top 3 rated fighters, and scored 2 wins against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. Leonard Moreau's opposition fought rate was 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate was 1 from 13. So in terms of fights against champions, Moreau had a total of 3, including 1 win, 2 loss, no draw, and 1 KO. He has 5 fights against Hall of Famers, including 2 wins, 3 loss, no draw, and 1 KO, and he has 0 world title fights. So there's Leonard Moreau in 898. Moving on now to fight number 897. It is former UK World Champion Junior Witter. Now, Junior Witter beat 4 world champions. He fought a total of 75 rounds against champions overall. And Junior Witter beat no Hall of Fame fighters. He did fight 12 rounds against a Hall of Fame fighter in his career. And Witter had a total of 8 fights against rated opponents. He scored 23 knockouts, 15 of them in 3 rounds or less, and he scored 2 first round wins. Now, Junior Witter was top 10 rated for a total of 5 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 21 fights, and he was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now, Junior Witter did have 2 fights against pound for pound fighters, but he scored no wins in there, so has no wins in the pound for pound categories. And Witter's opposition fought rate was 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate was 1 from 13. So in terms of fights against champions, Witter had 7, including 4 wins, 3 loss, no draw, and 1 KO. He has the 1 fight against a Hall of Famer that is a defeat, and he has a total of 6 world title fights, Witter, including 3 wins, 3 loss, no draw, and 2 title defences. So there's Junior Witter, 897. Okay, our next fight is Kell Brook in 896. Now, Kell Brook, okay, beat 4 world champions. He fought 54 rounds against champions. And Kell Brook beat no Hall of Fame fighters, nor did he fight any rounds against Hall of Famers. And Kell Brook had a total of 8 fights against rated opponents, and he scored 28 knockouts in his career, Kell Brook. 16 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 4 in the first round. Now, Kell Brook was top 10 rated as a fighter for a total of 8 years during his career, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 36 fights. Kell Brook also did get pound for pound rated for 1 year in my all-time rankings, and he had a total of 4 fights against pound for pound fighters, scoring 1 win against pound for pounders overall, and 0 wins against pound for pound top 3 or pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. Now, Kell Brook's opposition fought rate was 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate was 1 from 13. So in terms of fights against champions, Kell Brook had 7, okay, including 4 wins, 3 loss, no draw, and 2 KOs. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, and in world title fights he has a record of 7 overall, including 4 wins, 3 loss, no draw, making 3 title defences. So, Kell Brook in 896. When we go to fight number 895, it is a smooth punching former featherweight champion Antonio Esparragosa. Now, Esparragosa beat 1 world champion, okay, he fought 46 rounds against champions, and Esparragosa beat no Hall of Fame fighters, nor did he fight any rounds against Hall of Famers. Didn't have a massive career, Esparragosa. He scored a total of 27 knockouts, 16 of them in 3 rounds or less, and Esparragosa scored 0 first round wins. Now, he was top 10 rated as a fighter for a total of 5 years, and the longest unbeaten run in the career of Esparragosa was an unbeaten run of 30 fights. He was pound for pound top 10 rated for 2 years in my all-time rankings, and Esparragosa scored 1 win in each of the 3 pound for pound categories, 1 win against pound for pounders, 1 win against pound for pound top 3 rated fighters, and 1 win against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. His opposition fought rate is 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So Esparragosa had 4 fights against champions, including 1 win, 1 loss, 2 draws, with 1 KO. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, and he has a very respectable title fight record, including 9 world title fights, 7 wins with only 1 loss, 1 draw, making 7 title defences. So there is Antonio Esparragosa in 895. When we go to fight number 894, we're going back way in time, okay, to the hard punching contender but vulnerable Mexican Pete Everett. Now, Mexican Pete Everett beat 1 world champion. He fought 64 rounds against champions, and Pete Everett beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter individually. He also fought a total of 34 rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, in terms of fights against rated fighters, even as a pre-rating era fighter, Mexican Pete Everett had 1, and he scored a total of 26 knockouts in his career, 14 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 1 in the first round. Now, as a pre-rating era fighter, he was never top 10 rated. The longest unbeaten run in Mexican Pete Everett's career was an unbeaten run of 9 fights, and he was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now, we did have 5 fights against pound for pounders overall, and Pete Everett scored 1 win against pound for pounders, but no wins against pound for pound top 3 or pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. The opposition fought rate from Pete Everett was 2 from 18, and the opposition beat rate was 1 from 13. So Pete Everett had 8 fights against champions, including 1 win, 6 loss, 1 draw, with 1 KO. He has 5 fights against Hall of Famers. That includes 1 win, 3 loss, 1 draw, with 0 KOs. And Pete Everett had 0 world title fights. So 3 fighters to go, people. The first of those now, fighter number 893, former top 10 contender Yama Bahama. Now Yama Bahama beat 1 world champion. He fought a total of 33 rounds against champions, and Bahama beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter individually and fought a total of 33 rounds against Hall of Famers. Now he had 14 fights against rated opponents, and he scored a total of 26 knockouts, 12 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 4 in the first round. Now Yama Bahama was top 10 rated for a total of 1 year. His longest unbeaten run was an unbeaten run of 23 fights, and Bahama was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now he did have 5 fights against pound for pound fighters overall, and he scored 1 win in each of the 3 pound for pound categories, 1 against pound for pounders, 1 against pound for pound top 3 fighters, and 1 against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. In terms of opposition fought rate for Yama Bahama, he scored 3 from 18, and his opposition beat rate was 2 from 13. So fights against champions, okay, Yama Bahama had 4 fights against champions. That includes 1 win, 3 loss, no draw, and no KOs. He has the same record against Hall of Fame fighters, 4 fights in total, including 1 win, 3 loss, no draw, and no KOs, and Yama Bahama has 0 world title fights. Just had a quick drink, mouth going dry, very warm today. So from fighter number 893 we go to fighter number 892, okay, to former cruiserweight champion Ozzy Ocasio. Now Ozzy Ocasio beat 1 world champion. He fought 78 rounds against champions, and he did beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter individually, and Ocasio fought 36 rounds against Hall of Fame fighters. Now he has quite a large tally of fights against rated opponents, mixed in good company. He had a total of 17 fights against rated opponents in his career, and he scored 12 KOs, Ocasio, 8 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 4 in the first round. Now he was also top 10 rated for a total of 4 years, and the longest unbeaten run in Ozzy Ocasio's career is an unbeaten run of 13 fights. Now he was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings, but he did have 4 fights against pound for pound fighters. He scored 1 win against pound for pounders overall and 1 win against pound for pound top 3 fighters, but he scored 0 wins against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. Ozzy Ocasio also had an opposition fought rate 2 from 18 and an opposition beat rate of 1 from 13. So from the 9 fights against champions, Ocasio had 9 fights, yes, obviously, including 1 win with 7 losses and 1 draw with no KOs. He has 4 fights against Hall of Famers, including 1 win, 3 loss, no draw, and no KOs. And he has 7 world title fights. That included 4 wins, 3 losses, no draws, and 3 title defences. So there's another cruiserweight champion right there. Okay, we'll go to our final fighter of this first video of my next 10. Okay, and that fighter is Chan Hee Park. Now Chan Hee Park, okay, beat 2 world champions. He fought 71 rounds against champions, and Park did beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter individually, and he fought a total of 30 rounds against Hall of Fame opponents. Now Chan Hee Park had 7 fights against rated fighters overall, and he scored 6 knockouts, 5 of them in 3 rounds or less, and 1 in the first round. Now Chan Hee Park was top 10 rated for a total of 2 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 16 fights. Now Chan Hee Park was pound for pound rated for 0 years. He had 2 fights against pound for pounders overall, and he scored 1 win against pound for pound rated fighters and 1 win against pound for pound top 3 rated fighters, but he scored 0 wins against pound for pound number 1 fighters. Chan Hee Park's opposition fought rate was 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate was 1 from 13. So Chan Hee Park had 6 fights against champions, including 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 KO. He has 2 fights against Hall of Famers, including 1 win, no loss, 1 draw, with 0 KOs. And he has a total of 9 world title fights, including 5 wins, 3 loss, 1 draw. And Chan Hee Park made 5 title defences. So there we go, people. There's my latest video in the first of my next 10 videos on my top 1000 for 2025, 900 to 891. Tomorrow will come 890 to 881, and we will proceed through these 10 videos to get to the next target after doing 100 of hitting 200 fighters covered from the top 1000. So there's my latest video. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I'm the Boxing Librarian, and I'm out for now.